What happened during Courtney Hadwin's audition for America's Got Talent became legendary, not simply unforgettable. She went from being an introverted girl from a little English village to an international superstar in an instant. The world may have noticed a budding star, but few were privy to the hardships endured by the performer behind the scenes. Both the fame and the reaction were rapid. Courtney has had anything but a pleasant path, what with online trolls, abuse at school, and industry setbacks. How then could a young woman whose voice was years ahead of her time go from becoming an internet superstar to facing some of the music industry's most formidable obstacles? And her current whereabouts? Who knows? The answers might shock you. Courtney Hadwin's meteoric climb to stardom is quite astounding. She moves from a little English town to the world stage in an astonishingly short amount of time. Even though her story isn't quite a rags to riches one, her big break came during America's Got Talent Season 13, where her electric performance surprised the judges and crowd and launched her into stardom. The northeastern English village of Hesliden is Hadwin's hometown. There is a working men's club, a park, a school, a store, and a pub, says her mother Anne-Marie. Life is simple. Hesliden has transformed from a bustling mining town into a sleepier one. Hadwin knew she wanted to sing for a long time before she ever set foot on the America's Got Talent stage. Her inspiration for this goal came from seeing a young Connie Talbot on Britain's Got Talent. However, her destiny was sealed when she saw a James Brown concert on YouTube. Despite her classmates' preference for popular music artists like Katy Perry, Ariana Grande, and Ed Sheeran, Hadwin found herself drawn to a different style. Otis Redding, Janis Joplin, and Aretha Franklin. She wasn't completely oblivious to pop music, but soul music had an uncanny knack for touching her heart. Sure, she was talented, but she also realized that talent alone wouldn't get her far. A costly investment in professional vocal training was necessary for her to hone her craft. The idea for One Dot came to her before she even waited for a good opportunity. Hadwin busked in high-traffic areas across England in 2016 to pay for her voice training. In retrospect, her grandfather Tom's story revealed that she was able to pay for both her training and her trip costs with the money she earned. People in the stores and on the street loved her shows, but not everyone was happy to have her there. She was frequently sought to displace by her other street artists, who considered her expanding audiences as a threat. No matter how many people tried to discredit her, her performance made everyone pay attention. Courtney first found success after years of dedicated practice on the circuit of local talent shows. She was hell-bent on making an impression, and she wasn't merely performing for pleasure. At Teen Star UK in 2015, she performed a stirring cover of Titanium by David Guetta. After performing her own version of Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, she made it to the finals of Open Mic UK the following year. She was steadfast in her dedication. The Hartlepool Mail was told by Courtney's mother that after school every day, Courtney would finish her homework and then spend the entire evening practicing. June 2016 followed. At least in her hometown, this is when people began to pay attention. Everyone at Shotton Hall Academy didn't know anything about her, as she had only just started. However, a video of her was later posted on Facebook by her school. Everyone seemed to take notice of her incredible voice all of a sudden, even though she was only 11 years old. She sang a cover of Say Something by Christina Aguilera and A Great Big World during an open mic night. Additionally, the individuals present were absolutely astounded. Even the students' reactions were somewhat extreme. Someone would inevitably stop her as she walked down the hall to offer her congratulations. She revealed afterwards. For her, it was both strange and fascinating. In the same year, she competed in the Red Dreams One Voice competition, where she faced off against singers as young as 15 years old. She didn't merely compete, she emerged victorious when the scores were in. Now, Red Dreams wasn't your average contest. It was an initiative of a music charity that she had been involved with before to her appearances on major television stages. Another side of her was also seen to those there. According to an employee of the non-profit, the genuine Courtney was the reserved, bashful girl that interviewers saw. She was anxious about performing in front of large audiences, but as she stepped onto the stage, she seemed to disappear. Tom Story, her grandpa, confirmed that. In his opinion, Courtney was really reserved, quiet in general, while they were just hanging around. But as soon as she held a microphone, it was as if a switch went off in her head. She herself acknowledged that singing gave her a much greater sense of self-assurance than simply speaking. That was her authentic way of expressing oneself. After that, there was the Voice Kids UK. During her blind audition, she gave a performance-worthy rendition of Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits. Will.I.am was so enthralled by her dancing that he requested her to do a portion of it again. In the end, she was selected by Danny Jones for his squad. Serving as her mentor during the event, she competed in the battle round with Dancing in the Street, which she shared with Holly Furman and Ebony Green. She slayed the semi-final with a powerful performance of I Got You, I Feel Good by James Brown. Plus, she screamed out Dreamgirls, I Am Telling You, I'm Not Going at her last performance on July 16, 2017. As a finalist, though, her odyssey came to an end. You would think that appearing on Voice Kids UK is the stuff of dreams, wouldn't you? However, there was a drawback for Courtney: bullying. Online trolls began targeting her after her appearance on the show. According to her grandpa's interview with the Daily Mail, she was being called names and accused of not singing, but rather yelling. She found it much more difficult to disregard the bullying she experienced at school than the criticism she encountered online. Things were difficult for her at school, as reported by The Sun. Jealousy escalated into outright bullying when certain students couldn't accept the fact that she was destined for stardom. The way she described it, the youngsters teased her and made fun of her voice, claiming it was too boyish. She would not be defined by their vicious comments, no matter how much they hurt her. The potential impact of this negativity was a major worry for her parents. Witnessing Courtney endure such intense hatred was terrifying, according to her mother, but she also saw something significant. It was imperative that she maintain her strength for the sake of her daughter. The criticism that an artist faces is inevitable, according to her father. Noting that Ed Sheeran, too, had temporarily disabled his Twitter account in response to excessively negative comments. Courtney, though, kept her head down and her determination to succeed in spite of her naysayers. So here's the thing: after winning Voice Kids UK, most people would have thought she'd go on to Britain's Got Talent. If only that had been clear. However, Courtney disagreed. She aspired to greater things. She had previously stated her reasoning for selecting America's Got Talent, as the most of the artists she greatly respected were American. If she was going to take a chance, she wanted to do it on the grandest platform imaginable, in her mind. In Season 13 of America's Got Talent, Courtney Hadwin, who was just 13 years old at the time, bravely faced the judges, the enormous audience, and the intense lighting.